Ashish, since you have been working as an executive director in the hydropower sector, tell us very frankly, what challenges do you see to yield more private sector investment in the hydropower sector in very short?
Yeah, thank you. If this question was asked 3 months back, the answer would have been totally different. So let me update everyone here that over the last 3 months, there have been unprecedented changes in the energy policy, thanks to the able leadership of the Energy Minister and also the leadership of NEA, particularly the Managing Director sitting here. So, a lot of changes have happened. So the challenges and problems have reduced drastically. We have answers at private sector in Nepal. We have still, whatever government has unfolded over the last 3 months, we are still trying to understand what is on the table. Like we have basically tariff from 5 cents to 12 cents across various type of projects. So, we are trying to understand, what are the details of, this 5 cents to 12 cents. We have dollar PPA available. We have, PPAs on take or pay basis. There is a surety and guaranteed PPA by NEA. So virtually, there is everything has been already unfolded by the government. So now it's time for the private sector to understand it and then, get into projects. Before jumping into other challenges, in terms of immense potential which Nepal has to offer, let me tell you that, in Nepal, 100% FDI is allowed. So a foreigner can own 100% of the project. A private sector can own 100%. It's all duty-free, only 1% custom duty on all imports. There is 15 years income tax holiday. And you would be surprised to know that the source of income is not asked if you invest in hydropower, right? So where the money came from, even the income tax has that provision. So there is so much to offer. And along with that, we have just 1% of our hydropower potential developed. So we have 99% of our potential is still unexplored. So there is a lot to do. And I think the table is ready. Now, however, let's also bite the reality. There are certain negatives in the sector. Yesterday, whole day we were talking of a lot of positives. So I would take the courage to, put forward some serious negatives in this challenges in the power sector. Approvals. In private sector, when we run around the ministries and departments of government, still approval process in Nepal is very, very long. There's a report of the parliamentary committee which talks about 7 ministries, 22 departments and 36 acts which a hydropower developer project has to run through. So this normally, a project from the inception could take anywhere between 3 to 10 years for going into construction. So I don't know, the gentleman from GMR is here. It's the 9th or 10th year into, from the day they picked. The project which we did, the Lower Solu project which is under construction, it took 6 years to get into that. So there are a number of approvals. And so that's challenge number 1. Challenge number 2, is the foreign exchange regime, particularly for the foreign investment projects. The central bank approval, the policy is, quite controlled. Maybe, we haven't seen foreign investment over the last 2 decades. After the Bhotekoshi and Khimpi projects, hardly, the gentleman on my left is one who has actually, this icebreaker project. So last 20 years, we haven't seen FDI. So none of the system in the country is actually accustomed or, is aware of all the intricacies of foreign investment, and time is the only solution. So any money above $10,000 moving out of this country requires central bank approval, and there are certain policy of the central bank, which requires changes based on the requirements of the project. Even for equity, approvals are required, but to take back the equity, if you sell your shares at premium, the premium repatriation is an issue. Number 3, challenge with what we face when we get foreign funds is, the country rating. Nepal is not rated. So, the pricing of the loans, we hardly get loans at LIBOR plus 3 or 4. The foreign investors say that Nepal is not rated, so the risk is high. We buy an insurance policy, they say Nepal is not rated, it's high risk, so it will cost you more. So this links to the fine. And finally, the challenges about the off-taker, any surety of PPA and good tariffs. So I think that matter is quite resolved. So I think these are the key challenges.
Yes. Now, may I go to Managing Director of NEA. Given the recent change in the PPA rates, do you think the opportunities for private sector to invest has increased, or it has made it easier, more attractive to invest in either power sector? Please.
Thank you, Jay. I think now onwards in Nepal's hydropower sector, I think investment-friendly environment has been created within NEA and within the sector itself. As I have been told to clarify PPA regime, so first of all, I want to briefly go through the market of Nepal, the energy market. Actually, in Nepal, energy market is very primitive stage. We don't even use 130 unit per capita today. So if we want to use more than that, then we don't have supply situation. So there is a huge gap of demand. To graduate to developing countries, at least we should have 2,000 units per capita. That means 20,000 megawatts will be required at that stage. That means we are declaring 10,000 in 10 years. That is only 1,000 units per capita. So energy gap is there. In different sector, industrial, consumer, transport and tourism sector, we could not supply the energy, and so the infrastructure development is now in slow pace. Actually, PPA, energy market, whether there is a conducive environment within NEA are not for investors' point of view. NEA's projects, we should be also competitive enough and efficient to have a better effective projects, so that the pricing will be in competitive basis. So we are going for all the projects in company model, and we have formed a power trading company also, so that we can deal with all cross-border trading and also within the PPA, Nepal's power developers. And within our NEA, there are many companies that are going to be formulated, and we are going for within next 1 or 2 years to come up with multiple discounts. That will help, I think, that those discounts will help competitive basis in the energy market. Now, only one buyer anyway is there, particularly integrated system. I think there will be a very conducive environment and reform will be there. That will help power sector better. So this PPA market, not only PPA market, there is a cross-border market, very encouraging cross-border market. Now we are importing, but after 2 or 3 years, we may be exporting also, because of, I think within 3 years, we will be developing around next 1200 megawatt or so. So that will be an encouraging factor for us. So energy is there for other infrastructure to come. We can commit the energy, whatever energy, the other infrastructure, other industrial sectors demand, that we have asked for how much energy is required for the infrastructures to come. So that will be there. So I think regarding PPA, we have done a lot. I think that will help investors to come. Thank you.
Can we arrange for another microphone, if possible, just to see? Now let me go back to more or less related kind of question to Mr. Yanfeng. You have been credited for very kindly completing hydropower plants in Nepal. Actually, before it was initially scheduled time. Right? So my question to you will be, what is Power China's opinion and suggestion towards the PPA guidelines that the area has?
Thank you. Just now the MD of NEA's, he had a line, which is going to be announced very soon by the government of Nepal. We through this, we already got some information from the website of Ministry of Energy, as well as the newspapers. We got a very positive picture that, after years of discussion, government of Nepal is about to take a significant step forward and trying to offer a FDI-friendly environment. But however, I think what I'm going to say is quite different from another panelist who is saying on my right. So that the following disadvantages may become hurdles to attract, foreign investors. So I may say something specific. The first point, the initial tariff and escalations proposed in the guideline are not really attractive. Because through our analysis, we found that the devaluation of Nepali rupee plays a major role. From 2010 to 2011, the exchange rate between US dollar and rupee has been risen up from 1 to 72 to 1 to 109. Nepali rupee has been devaluated approximately 50%. So, however, this initial tariff was merely increased 20% from 4 rupee to 4.8 during monsoon season and 7 rupee to 8.4 rupee during dry season. And even the increment of tariff cannot cover the loss from devaluation. So it is suggested that the initial tariff should be reconsidered by taking other countries' experience, and it should be denominated in hard currency rather than rupee. And the escalation period also should be prolonged, since the international PPA practice is to implement, inflation escalation and make other necessary adjustments throughout the life of PPA. And my second point is payment period of convertible currencies comparatively short. So as per the proposed guideline, convertible currency payment will be provided, for a payback period or 10 years, whichever is earlier to occur. However, not all of the projects have a payback period of less than 10 years. And which means foreign investors even have to bear the risk of currency devaluation for the loan repayments. And also, we'd like to suggest that, the convertible currency payment need to be provided at least within the payback period, and after the payback period, an exchange risk sharing mechanism should be set up. And then I do believe that by taking more IPP's voice into consideration, the PPA guideline will become more practical and reasonable. And FDI-friendly environment will be finally created to achieve, win-win situation between the foreign investor and the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee and Frank. Now, let me go back to Mr. Harvinder. Okay. If you allow me, being a representative of a multinational company, what messages do you have, based on your experience elsewhere, to accelerate infrastructure development? Not only hydropower, I would rather broaden it, and your experience on major infrastructure development. Please. Thank you.
Morning. Yeah. Morning, everybody. My request to all of who are present here, let us use this forum as a platform to highlight key concerns so that we can move jointly forward, rather than pinpointing any company or any specific pain points. To specifically answer, I normally use these forums to be very open, blunt and transparent. I have been asked from an MNC perspective, a MNC company, what they should look at in Nepal. As Ashish mentioned, GMR, 10 years in Nepal, nobody has seen from a FDI perspective better than GMR, fortunately or unfortunately. From the first session we started yesterday, good to see political commitment that any MNC would like to see. Any MNC or lender. So common stakeholders I'm talking about. But first point, whether that political commitment is actually getting translated at the project level, one point. We need to have a demonstration of whatever we are saying. Second point, are we able to insulate economics from politics on a long-term basis? Yesterday, Malaysian minister also mentioned political stability. We agree political stability will be a challenge in this region. Let us separate politics from economics. Number two, not saying demonstrate at site with some success stories. Third point, within ministries, within developers, there should be a single team working. You pick any point, any project, hydro, airport, roads, one project, one team working. Is it really working there? No. Worldwide, even if you have to make any project successful, there should be a single team. Developers are not pinpointed or showcased as the one who are responsible. Any developer will not be able to move the large infrastructure project forward until unless he has a strong stakeholder support. Stakeholders means what? The government, the departments, the ministries, the public, the lenders, off-takers. We need to develop some success stories. Yesterday, Wendy from IFC also mentioned, giving Bangladesh experience. Let us pinpoint, target 5 projects, top projects, 1, 2 in Hydro, Airport, Metro, Melanchi. Let us have a single team working. Review those projects on a weekly basis. Pinpoint the developers if they are delaying it. But if there is a delay from the government side, please accept that. Level of acceptance. Failures, anybody who is working will do some mistakes. As long as we are acknowledging those mistakes and trying to rectify those mistakes, let us develop that culture. Let us demonstrate that culture. One suggestion, in my view, I have been very closely working in Nepal. I love this country. The turnaround of power sector, the load shedding removal, yesterday should have been showcased in the yesterday top level discussion. Nepal can do it. Not many people are aware internationally, so many hydro projects are getting constructed here. So many things happening, but we are not showcasing it properly. 6th point. Last point, as Ashish mentioned, are we FDI ready? We are not FDI ready. Pick up any 5 members who Nepal thinks they are experts, check 26 laws for making even $1 billion investment in Nepal. The kind of laws which we have here, they need to be radically transformed, whether it is NRB or Finance Ministry or legal or land or forest or environment. For Upper Canali project, forest clearance is still pending. We have been waiting for last 2 years. NRB, are we ready? Even for paying to our consultants $100,000, the kind of approval process it takes from the IBN to NRB takes months. Yesterday there was a question that land, 50% private land cannot be mortgaged. Any infrastructure projects, are the rules ready? In spite of cabinet approvals, you cannot mortgage. There are tens of such examples. I am not pinpointing any department, but in order to be FDI ready, we need to have a strong, very, very, very strong team working. IBN has been created. Is IBN sufficiently empowered? Ministries, there are so many ministries, the lack of coordination. My 10-year experience in Nepal, competence level of Nepal bureaucrats is amongst the highest in this region. What we lack is the coordination and the commitment and the empowerment. Those are the softer issues if we are able to handle. I think we can move very quickly forward. There are 3-4 projects ready, mature for construction. Let us target these projects and take these projects forward. We have to lead by example. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. In a very nice way, you have laid out the softer side. I was trying to point you towards a more concrete one. I think you will come back to that point later on, I'm sure. Now, let me ask Dr. Chandika Bhatta. Of course, all these investments, sometimes as input and sometimes as output, in some way have to lead economic growth, promote trade, and also help us balance some of the gaps that we have in our development. As a sage executive director, what are some of the things regarding, say, special economic zone that Nepal government is promoting, has in place, and particularly the regulatory part, and how it is connected with the neighbors, particularly south and north, for trade and transport. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, respected chair of the session, eminent panelists, valued investors, distinguished foreign delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm privileged to be a part of the panelists in this session. The subject, what we're discussing out here is very important, this energy and industry. The economic transformation, the agrarian Nepalese economy can be transferred only by the industrialization. For the industrialization, energy, enough energy and suitable infrastructure is the most, which are the prerequisite. In the past, major hurdles for industrialization was shortage of power and the lack of infrastructures. Recently, what we are observing is that the power supply situation is getting better due to the effort of the person who is nearby, and the infrastructure is a little bit getting better, and the government of Nepal is looking for different aspect for infrastructure development. That is the outcome of a special economic zone, because the land availability in Nepal is very tough. That is the reason why we developed special economic zone. Recently, the power supply situation is getting better, and the long-awaited Special Economic Zone Act has been promulgated, which made the investors excited once again. Many overwhelming response and inquiries are receiving in the office. Again, the previous hangover of, they are making inquiry about the previous hangover of the power shortage and the infrastructures. And what we claim at this moment is that the provisions, what are the made in the SAYS Act, has generated conducive investment environment. In the day first, we have already heard from the several speakers that what is the conducive investment environment. That is easy entry, easy procedure, transparent legality, more attraction or benefit, rapid services, and easy exit. So what I would like to assure you is that these are the spirits of Special Economic Zone Act. There are very important issues that the Act has envisages. Among all, the benefit given to the investors, like income tax benefit for 5 years, 100%, and additional 5 years, 50%. And there is no value-added tax in the sales of raw material and the product, and also there is no custom duty to import raw materials, auxiliary raw materials, packing materials, and given the incentives for the vehicles to be used in the industry. the foreigners can open the bank account in foreign currency and they can make the transactions. They receive the visa easily for the investors and or the representative and the families, and the residence visa will be given to the investors who invest more than 10 million US dollar. So another most important aspect of this legal SAYS Act is that there is no strike or the banda in the SAYS. It is clearly mentioned. This aspect was looking since long from the investors. And the private sectors are also open to invest in the SAYS. We have declared 14 SAYS all across Nepal. 10 SAYS are near to the Indian border, and 4 SAYS are in the northern belt near to China border. So out of 14, we have already, in one of the SAYS in Bhairava is in operation SAYS. Others, 13 SAYS has yet to be developed. 2 of them have already initiated for the constructions, and remaining 11 SAYS has yet to be developed. Since the Act has already opened for the private sector to develop, they can come up with the 100% equity, or they can come in joint venture with SAYS or the Nepal government. So this is the very positive part of the SAYS Act. So there are some rebates is given for the lease for first 3 years, and then other many more incentives, facilities have been proclaimed to the SAYS Act. So I don't want to go in detail. So about the connectivity, we are near to the border in the south. So there will be hardly, we are very close to the Indian border, about 3 kilometers in Bhairava. So we will not have any problem of the connectivity for the product to be exported. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I take the mic, what are the future plans in a very short?
So future plans that I think we have to operate the Bhairava SAYS very soon. It is already in the initial stage, and then we will go ahead aggressively to join hands with the private sectors to develop the remaining SAYS, and we'll welcome all the private sectors, either the local investors or the foreign investors, to develop jointly the other SAYS as well. They can bring up the new projects apart from these projects with us. They can bring the new projects in which we can associate with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatta. We have less than 10 minutes now, so I will give 1.5 minutes each for you with one question. Ashish, I have one question for you. What model you prescribe to build a partnership between national or domestic and foreign investors? What kind of partner? In very short.
We have 10,000 megawatt in 10 years, let's say the basic numbers. So Nepalese private sector, Nepalese banks, Nepalese equity, I think we cannot go beyond 100 megawatt project. Neither the banks can fund it, neither the equity investor has that much funds to do that. So up to 100 megawatt for Nepalese private sector. Beyond 100 megawatt project has to be foreign investor. Now when a foreign investor comes here, I think Nepal still has a long way to go. So they would need partnership with the local investor. So currently what we are having, the model is the local investor is just, selling its license or providing the license and holding a dormant position. So, and the equity is restricted to say 10% or 15%. I think that should move towards a partnership model wherein the Nepalese investor can also value add in terms of managing the local environment, approvals, site situations, and preparing the country for FDI, running around the corridors of ministry. And the foreign investor comes in with his expertise, and this value addition goes on for a few years. By that time, I think Nepalese private sector would graduate to 200, 300 megawatt and maybe a 50-50 partnership.
Thank you. Mr. Yanfeng, Yanfeng, what is your sort of experience in while in hydropower sector? Your experience.
So we just starting talking about Upper Masalia as the first FDI project in, from China in the hydropower field in Nepal. Upper Masalia A hydropower project was quickly and successfully completed, by joint venture between Power China and Sagamata Power Company under the strong support, from the government as well as the locals. So I think the most valuable experience is, the establishment of good relation with various local social sectors. So there have been many strikes in 2013. The strikes totally resulted in a half-year delay. We made a lot of investigations for effective solution for, to reduce and even avoid the local strikes. And finally, we found out, the key reason. Even though we have been trying so hard, to be a good developer, but we didn't make, local people correctly understand us in a suitable manner. And then, in order to rule out more avoidable misunderstandings, we promoted all the 4 surrounding VDCs to set up a joint coordinating committee. And that committee just has 61 members on behalf of local people and local sectors, with its function to fairly make open communication between us. And the coordinating committee has been running well since its establishment. So I think, by this coordinating committee, the local government and also the local people, they gradually took us as a friend, instead of on the other side, the opposite. So this is, let's say, the most valuable experience to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harvinder, would you like to add something concrete? You have said about the land. Are we ready for FDI? That was your question and you started. Is there anything concrete in policy matters that you would like to suggest that we should improve before we actually get into FDI promotion?
In my view, again, if we are able to sort out the softer issues, the harder issues will get sorted out. But to be more specific, land issues, the private land mortgage issues, that beyond 50% it cannot be mortgaged, that should be urgently addressed. Forest clearance issues needs to be immediately addressed. The foreign loans, FDI can only come if the lenders, for example, apart from few lenders, even on the loans you have TDS. So this is a very rare rule or a process I have seen in Nepal that has to be immediately addressed. As Honorable Ambassador, British Ambassador yesterday mentioned, legal laws to be tested to enable to have an enabling platform for a large-scale FDI to come in. Take any sample project, $1 billion, what are the rules required to bring those investment into Nepal? Leave aside developer, leave aside, let us not brand the developer, whether it is Nepalese or an Indian or a Chinese. All developers are equally treated at par, no colors. I see a lot of Chinese colleagues here. It's a very encouraging sign. So let us stop that practice now. Same developer, select 3-4 projects, review those projects, which are the hindrances, whether it is legal system, NRB, ministries, sit with the developers on a weekly basis and put penalty on the developer if they are delaying. Have a strong project review monitoring mechanism.
Thank you, Mr. Manocha. Ghising, I can come back to you. In a very short term, what are the management challenges, power management challenges in this country, and what you are planning to do with those?
I think this question is a very difficult question. So, management challenges, we cannot say that this is the challenge. The most prominent thing is, I think, this is socio-political context management is very important. In managing the organization, public organization like NEA and other public organizations, the socio-political context means social and political issues, how to handle those issues by the management leaders in the corporate organizations. It is very important, and it is a great challenge that we have to face. So if we can manage the socio-political issues, then our next management principle can do better. Thus, it is not easy like managing a bank where all intellectuals and professionals are there. To manage organization like NEA, public organization, there are many issues, trade union issues and other political issues and social issues. If you go for implementation in the field, there are many social issues that we have to handle with those issues. Those issue handling is the major challenge. So I think this is the major challenge we have to face, and with that, the most important thing to be success in management leadership is how trustworthy you are, and how you are leading the organization with integrity. That is the most important part of the management, that you can make follower with the leadership, with your leadership. That is very important. Otherwise, if you fail somewhere or you miss something, then it will be very difficult to manage the organization like NEA and public organization. Thank you.
Now, I want to do closing without giving some chance to the floor to raise some pertinent questions. Because of time limitations, we'll have 2 questions. Please raise your hand. 1 and 2. There's 2.
Good morning. My name is Garg Pandit. Again, I am taking an opportunity to ask 2 particular questions. One relating to regulatory framework in Nepal in investment.
But I did not give you the mic, but you took it.
Oh,
but anyway, finish it.
No, I'm not saying.
No, finish it, since you have started. No, finish it.
Please.
Finish.
Okay.
Sure.
Sorry. You have not given, I have taken that in Nepal. We have to do that sometimes. Sorry. First question is regulatory framework. There are many people participating who may not like asking me questions because Gandhi is all the time taking the opportunity. But I appreciate government of Nepal organizing this wonderful Nepal summit investment permit, where even as a participant like me has the opportunity to give some insight for the government. Two questions. One is regarding regulatory framework, which Mr. Harvinder, Mr. Garg, and all said that if in this situation, what are the ways that we can bottleneck can be removed through what is the process that we want, which law to be improved. Second issue, important is that in Nepal, right now Harvinder Singh has the one person who has talked about the lender's perspective. In project financing, 30% equity shareholders are putting money in, 70% bankers and lenders. Has any bankers been represented here? Or has any law been ever addressed that without project financing, non-recourse project financing, no foreign investment will come?
Thank you.
So in that area, can you answer as a chairperson that what is the policy of government in project financing?
The panelists will take it up. Second person, please. Then I will come to the first person. Please.
Good morning, everyone. This is Suman Basnet representing Integrated Solid Waste Management Project of Kathmandu Valley, which we are in discussion with Investment Board currently. And I have similar questions to Mr. Garg and Mr. Harvinder, to be specific. This is basically related to the financial closing and the clean tech of access to the clean tech investment, if you have made for your project or not. To Mr. Ashish, it is what was the challenges as you have already done your financial closing? What are the challenges you have faced for achieving that great milestone, as we call it, for the project financing? And to Mr. Harvinder, also the same thing. What are the bottlenecks because of which you are not being able to really get the financial closure? And I think Mr. GMR is approaching for the CDM aspect of the project also, but with Solu, which you have not looked into. If you could highlight a bit of your experience on it, it would be pretty helpful for finance professionals like me who are here. Thank you.
Thank you. A gentleman here in the middle, he had raised hands. No. Or
Thank you so much for this opportunity, sir. As we know, our economy is a deindustrialized economy. We have mostly people working.
Can you introduce yourself?
Sorry, Ashutosh Dixit. So my question is, our economy is a deindustrialized economy. We have most of the people working in agriculture or either in a service industry. And in that service industry, it also has a lower skill employment. So as a foreign investor, how much it bothers you regarding the availability of the skilled resources to make an investment? So that's my question.
Thank you. Now I will have to stop here unless there's a very, very pertinent question. Where? All right, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, may I compliment Mr. Ghising on his incredibly competent management in a very difficult situation. I'd like him to respond to the Chinese gentleman. I'm the CEO of Dolma Impact Fund, an active private equity investor in Nepal. One of the questions I get for when I'm looking for future funds is exactly the same, US dollar PPA to hedge against currency risk. A big pension fund or a big developer simply won't do it, and that's the kind of investor that we need to attract. Just wondered if Mr. Ghising could address the question.
Thank you. Can you take out, do you remember the questions which it addressed to? Please pick up. Thank you. Sequentially.
Yeah, so your query on, the issues on financial closure. So it took me 4 years for the financial closure of the Lower Solu project. We got the LOI in 2011 and it was closed in 2015. So the challenges are galore. I mean, we have, when we list down the issues, there were more than 50. There may be land issue, how to manage it, the mortgage. There was issue on the bankability of the PPA document. There were issue on the pricing of the loan and hedging it. There were issue on offshore accounts approvals from Rashtra Bank. There were issues on step-in rights of the lenders. And, and another issue was Nepal as a country risk. The lenders wanted political risk insurance. There was no product available in the market. We had issues on the insurance policy. The lenders wanted delay in startup insurance policy, which were not available. So, I mean, the list was endless, and I think the patience paid, and we have done it. The loans have been dispersed. Construction is going on. So, I mean, it's a very long discussion, but I think it can be done, and many are doing it, and things are shaping up.
So, taking clue from what Ashish mentioned, I think Ashish largely domestic PPA. I would focus more from the FTA perspective for large hydro projects exporting power to India. Apart from issues which Ashish mentioned, I think the key relevant issue which Mr. Ghising also pointed out would be the PPAs. What is holding up financial closure of, say, a mature project like Upper Karnali is the bankable PPA. Forest clearance on the Nepal side and the bankable PPA on. Now, bankable PPA, the Government of India and Government of Nepal started for the last 3 years, Power Trade Agreement, SAC, Energy Cooperation Agreement, and then the cross-border guidelines. But the next logical step has to be the regulations under which any state in India can sign PPA. Until unless those regulations are notified, GMR cannot go to Haryana, Rajasthan and sign the PPA. Now, the key question comes from the Nepal side. PPA, GMR responsibility. Lenders will not lend until unless there is a bankable PPA. Appraisal is done, everything done. Now, whose responsibility is it? These are bilateral issues. Government of India will not notify these regulations just because GMR is developing one project. They would look at it long-term geopolitical sensitivities. That is where Government of Nepal, Government of India, Bangladesh need to step in. Bilaterally, they have to put pressure and get these things are being worked out, but still they will take time. Right now, the draft regulations are out. Everybody is requested. They are available, web hosted on CRC website. Please have a look. As a important Nepalese stakeholder, please give your comments. That is what I have been requesting Bangladesh government also. Our Bangladesh colleagues are also here. Last week I was in Dhaka trying to finalize this MOU for Upper Karnali for Bangladesh. Things are progressing but need continuous sustained push. Next question, I will bundle all the questions which have been in regulatory mechanism I addressed. To answer your issue on the CDM, yes, we have been working on the CDM. Though the Kyoto Protocol CDM benefits have largely significantly gone down. Assuming that a large hydro project out of Nepal, which is a hydro majority grid, you cannot get CDM benefits, but if you are replacing the fossil fuel of the Indian grid, yes, CDM benefits are eligible even for large hydro projects. The process is long. We are still waiting for CDM clearance from Ministry of Environment in Nepal. Host country as a DNA need to give an approval. Though it was captured in the PDA, still we are waiting for that approval. But to answer your question, CDM benefit is applicable if you are replacing the fossil power in India.
I think those were the questions. There were any questions addressed to you? I don't think so. No. All right, they were satisfied. Go ahead. Yeah, Mr. Ghising.
Thank you. I think regarding PPA, his concern was how PPA rates can be formulated. I think initial rates are low, or escalation should be there. These all are based on the returns, that whether we front load or whether we back load the pricing. So I think PPA rates will be completely dependent on the investment and how we give the return. That's return could. So PPA rates will be driven by the return on equity. Hello, yes. So there are some guidelines issued by ministry, and we are looking forward. I think for 10 years there is a dollar PPA for debt portion. So that guideline, I think, will address main issues of this dollar PPA portion. Main thing is the risk sharing, how we share the risk of dollar exchange risk. So pricing, escalation, and initial pricing, it doesn't matter if you have the return on equity the same. So we'll be comfortable if it is backloading, because this time front loading will be much more difficult for NEA than backloading. I think this will address your question. Thank you.
One question which has remained unanswered, I will take half a minute on the non-recourse based FC which you raised. People often compare that Arun 3 is moving forward, Upper Karnali is stuck. Issue remains, we need to understand a non-recourse financing model. Arun 3 is, I am not going into the debate, without merits. It is a government funded, they do not have to sign PPAs, they do not have to go for a FC. Whereas any standalone large infrastructure project will have to have a non-recourse financial closure, in which debtors will give about 70-75%, developer will give 25%. My only request, again I am repeating, we need to have a regulatory mechanism enabling large 70% loan coming into Nepal as FDI remains the most question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manocha. I will now close. I can see 2 times our organizers, they have been showing me the time limitations. Is it okay if I go ahead? Okay. It has been real honor to actually manage this very distinguished panel. I would like to thank Ashish, Dr. Bhatta, and of course Mr. Ghising and Mr. Yanfeng and Mr. Manocha. We have posed questions which we thought they were very qualified to answer. Given the time limitation, we may not have been able to give you enough time to elaborate on your answers, but there is always this possibility of one-to-one interaction and also sharing through other electronic means, if required, to seek answer to some of the questions that we have been. Maybe they were not complete. I'm sorry that I cannot give more time to the floor, but in these 2 days, of course, it's not closed in one session. There are several sessions, and then we have other forums as well where we can interact and get more clarity. I thank you so much, 5 of you. It has been wonderful, and it has been not that easy to sort of shape the question and get your answer to it. Now, may I, before I close, this session is probably the most important one. I don't want to say because I am chairing it, but because this summit is for investment. And we are trying to sort of communicate messages to our future partners, investors, in the areas which are basically discussed in this session. That is energy, mainly hydropower, and of course alternative energies, and the infrastructure, including roads, transport, railways, and so forth. And therefore, we can understand how much this interests you, and the kind of questions that we raised and the answers we have seen. And then we are very hopeful that this is going to be very productive in terms of what? Placing investment? I don't know, but again, thinking about investing in this country. Yesterday in the inaugural session, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank's chair he asked a big question. I would like to draw a little bit attention to that part. If 90s were defined for globalization, globalization defined the 90s, what defines the 21st century we are in? Okay. Will we continue the same parameters of globalization, or there are other things? That has direct sort of relationship to some of the questions I think Harvinder has just raised. What is this thing called geopolitics? Does it really matter when it comes to industry investment in the economic sector? Is politics itself redefined? Some of the things that we took for granted in the post-1990s period, probably they are questioned. So this is a wonderful time to sort of engage in this kind of discourse, particularly in this country at this moment where the whole nation is going through major rethinking in terms of its state structure, in terms of its civil and state relationship, and in terms of a private sector and state relationships. So that has implications for both our domestic as well as international partners. And therefore, I would like to sort of engage in that direction as well. This discourse probably has just started. Probably we don't have a very definitive answer yet, but this is something we'll be engaged in the days to come. As far as these nations, one question that came, is the nation prepared to accept development as agenda? Yes. I think that is something that came out since yesterday, and of course even today, from different political actors as well as civil society and private sector people. What this basically means, there is a commitment, there is willingness, and there is action going on, and there is a political assurance as well. And therefore it is a wonderful opportunity for us to think about working, engaging, and being in this country. So all of you who have come from very far and have listened to us one way for such a long time, I wish, let's engage in this very thinking of being part of this historically defining moment, and of course you will have credit. And one of the ministers this morning, he mentioned a very interesting point. He said, for development, khali ठाउँ नेपालमै हो. Probably others have developed so much, the space is already crowded. Our space, as far as development is concerned, is still very much open. Plenty of opportunity, plenty of space. So welcome, and thank you very much for your attention, and thank you all the five panelists. Thank you.